All right, listen to this. You have 2 portals and 1 metal rod. The rod is just long enough for the ends of the metal rod to meet when you put them like straight up and down.
Yeah.
So you weld or solder the 2 ends of the metal rod together.
Yeah. And it's an infinite rod.
And you let go.
Oh.
Does it accelerate downwards? Does it move at a constant speed, or does it just sit there? I think it would just sit there.
Well, it depends on let me think about this. It depends on which way gravity
Okay, so say like
is.
there's a portal right there and a portal right here, and I weld this metal rod together and I let go.
Well,
Because the ends are, it wouldn't move
Right.
because the
It would
end,
just
the
be-
bottom is on the top.
it's pushing into each other. You could probably
You could force it.
you could
Wait,
move it
so
around, but it
where is
won't
it
just
sitting?
drop.
Like, where do you put it? Do you put it like in the portal?
Okay.
This is gonna be the opening, by the way.
Are we recording right
Yeah,
now?
we're recording,
Okay.
yeah.
So say I have a portal gun and a how tall do you say the ceiling is?
7-8 feet.
8 feet.
Yeah.
Say I have an 8-foot metal pole.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me how I got it. I did not kill that stripper. I shoot the portal in the ceiling, and then directly below it, I shoot the other portal. And then I feed the metal rod, because portals adjust for direction and velocity.
Okay.
So say I ease the metal rod in at an angle
Really easy.
until
You just,
I just smooth it in
You
there.
just
And then,
slip it in.
and then I bring it down so it's perfectly vertical and then touching the top of the metal rod.
Mm-hmm.
And then I weld it together.
Okay.
So it's like
One more question.
The top and bottom are connected, but only via the portal.
Are we in a perfect world with this where that like the weld doesn't change center of mass or anything?
Correct.
It would probably just stay there.
Or we'll just say that I have it exactly in between the 2 portals.
Yeah, because that would be the big. Well, even if it was in between the 2 portals, it would still want to fall down because
But
the
it's
gravity
sitting
pulling the whole thing down.
but it's sitting on the top of itself.
Yes, it is.
Because you have to bring in portal physics. You're not because portal physics are both reliant on real life physics, but also change some factors.
I still feel like it's gonna keep moving down and through the portal, and it's gonna just keep speeding up.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it would sit there on itself because you'd be like standing on your own head, basically.
Yeah, but the thing is that you don't have a floor beneath you. You just keep falling through. Do you see what I mean?
It's tough.
Okay, that's true, but the reason you do that is because in Portal, like in the game, there's no area where you can attempt to like
I wonder if I have a portal installed.
prove this wrong or right.
If you all right, so normal behavior. If you had a portal in the floor and then one in the ceiling,
Yeah.
You would continuously
keep
fall.
going.
But that's because you can't ever. You'll never touch yourself. Like,
right.
LOL. You'll never like your feet will never touch your head
Right.
because you have to have like the ceiling would have to be almost shorter than you or the same exact height as you.
True.
And I guess I have one more question. When you're going through the portal, like from that point of where it's the first and the second, are you just like a beam of energy? And going
It's matter reconstruction, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's question number 2. So what was your opinion on that? So Lucas you still saying that it's going to keep moving?
Gonna keep moving.
Okay, I think it's going to sit still.
I'm trying to think if I had a ceiling and I was exactly as tall as the ceiling and I put 2 portals, one underneath me and one on top, shoot one down and then the minute I put it up, I'm going to be standing on my head basically.
Yep. And you wouldn't fall.
I wouldn't.
You'd have nothing to fall to.
True. There'd be that initial point where
if you were to shoot the
Yeah.
portal below you first
Yeah.
and then above you
And then
second,
above
you
you.
would never move. If you shot the portal above you first and below you second, you would continuously fall.
Okay, so I think, well,
But we're not talking about a human being. We're talking about setting this up to where it is not moving.
I'm still gonna disagree.
all right.
I respect that.
Think about it this way.
So
If you had, in the game, there's like lasers. If you shot a laser one direction through, it would come back and touch itself on the other side, of the box.
Right.
So if you drop that laser device through, it would probably, that has mass, and that would keep falling through.
The laser has mass?
No. Okay, so
Like
say
the
if
turret,
I have like
like
a
a
laser
turret or
turret
like-
box,
okay,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
laser's coming through
Photons.
hitting it on the other side, on its
Right.
back side, and then I drop the laser box, it would just go, it
Yeah,
would just keep
yeah.
going because that has mass. The laser doesn't have mass, but if you just put all mass in there, like the rod, the normal gravity takes over and it would touch itself. Yeah, I agree. It would stop. It
would stop.
It would only move if you forced it to
Right.
move. Yeah.
You could
could grab
make
it.
Yeah,
You could grab it
You
and-
could spin it and it would just keep doing that.
Right.
It would continuously fall.
Right.
But if you were to like have like a device like a vice or something that would like hold it in place while you welded it and then like slowly eased off the vice or something like that, I don't think it would ever fall.
Okay.
Because it'd be standing on top of itself. But I also see where Lucas is coming from.
all 5 of our listeners, please email us with how you feel about this.
Yeah.
Question number 2. If the orange portal surface, like say it was on a chunk of your ceiling that was like just jagged and like about to fall.
Yeah.
Say that fell in a perfect piece to like keep the portal intact. Because if it crumbled, like the portal would just disappear.
Right.
Say it fell, what would happen to the rod? I think it would just like be stuck in. I think this is pretty obvious that it would just be stuck in its matter recreation form. If for whatever reason the portals met, or like
I think this would come down to like just your base, like your portal physics that I don't
Yeah.
understand, because I don't know if it would if like the portal is affixed right to that.
It has to be
specific
affixed to a
tile?
wall. Yeah. If anything deters the portal from like being continuous, it breaks up.
Okay.
Okay. If it fell.
Now, here's a little tidbit of information that I know is true. This is impossible if we're thinking about portal, because a moving surface will instantly destroy a portal.
Yeah.
Anything that moves in portal.
So like if I were to shoot a portal on your door
Yeah.
and then someone open your door, the portal would disappear. So
Right.
the rod would just pop out of the blue portal. But what would it look like?
Well, it would be whatever part of the rod existed.
No, because the whole thing would pop out.
Yeah,
and it's welded together.
So if it's reconstructing matter at both
okay,
ends.
that makes sense. So
say,
it would,
say
it
I
would
took
like,
the rod, I fused it,
that
and then
would
I
make
moved
sense.
it down
Yeah.
like 2 feet.
Yeah.
Whatever parts at each end that it's
Because
chopping
it would
off.
still be the same height. Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
it's deconstructing it at one end and then reconstructing it at the other.
Yeah. So it would be welded like somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And then the other ends would just be cut off, like a smooth cut
Just
off
cut
or something
off.
like that.
Yep.
Yep. And now, last question. If you had a portal gun, okay, so say we're back again. Let's just, actually, it doesn't even matter. So we have it welded together, whether it's moving or not. It's portal 1, 1, and 2, and then I fire one of the other portals against this wall.
Yeah.
What would happen?
To the rod.
To the rod. Would it continue on forever? No.
It would depend on which one.
Wait a minute. How's this working?
Okay. So we have like in part A, the
Yep.
portals above,
Yep.
portals below,
Say
and the rod
the
is in
blue
middle.
one is on the floor.
And the blue one's on the floor,
Orange
and
one's on the ceiling.
I shoot the blue portal at that wall. What happens to the rod?
The entirety of the rod that is present in real space.
It would just
At the
drop
moment?
down, I think.
Out
because
of what portal?
Well, isn't
We're gonna say blue's on the floor, orange is on the ceiling, and I shot the blue at the wall.
your blue the one you jump into? Or is
It doesn't
orange?
matter.
It doesn't
matter.
I have a feeling that it would. It would just. I think it would just fall out of the orange because it's already going that way.
See,
if you got rid of the portal, and this is more going with my thinking of how I thought that it would work.
But I think you're right too, because there is that like millisecond or nanosecond that portal's being created and it's gone here.
Yeah.
That it would just at that point, like we said in B, where it gets cut off,
and like
it would just
even
drop out of the orange.
let's say most classical case scenario, it's just about this much longer than what the height from this portal that you're sealing is. You're gonna have that much of that rod coming out of the blue portal. That'd be what I think would be about it.
Okay.
And then
I think it would just drop.
Alternatively, if the orange portal is on the ceiling, blue portal is on the floor, and you fire the orange portal out of the ceiling, the rod would drop into the blue portal.
It would
and then
shoot
keep
out.
that velocity and shoot through the.
Right. It would shoot right out the wall.
So if Lucas was correct in his first theory on our first point, and you were doing that, and it was sitting there moving at this constant velocity,
well, it would be speeding up.
Frictionless velocity, just constantly picking up speed, and then you fired the top portal at the wall, it would like literally just make this molten hot beam, like pew! Boom, and it would just like plow through your wall and like into the neighbor's apartment, and it would just like be molten metal on the floor. That's the question. If your theory was true, eventually it would just turn into liquid.
But you said there was no
frictionless. Yeah, it's frictionless.
If it's frictionless, then it wouldn't heat up. If there was air resistance, it would heat up, but it would just hit a.
Well, there would hit
terminal velocity.
There would have to be air resistance.
It would just hit terminal velocity and then stop.
Yeah,
It'd be like.
That's true.
Yeah.
It would still fire out of the wall like a.
Oh yeah, no, it'd still be flying when it fired out of the wall.
Did you mark that?
I did now.
Hey everybody, and welcome to TechBuzzed, your raw and slightly inebriated look into the world of technology. I'm Nick Smock.
I'm Ryan Spletzer.
I'm Lucas Ritter.
Quick thing before we get into the topics. These next 2 weeks are a little special when it comes to our Beer of the Week segment. This week we're actually going to be doing mixed drinks, and it has no effect on our Beer of the Year, which is going to be next week. We'll have a bracket posted on our Facebook, our Twitter, and I don't know where else.
And
just our Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Our RSS feed.
Our RSS feed.
Our RSS feed will have it as well.
RRSSS.
That'll have it as well, and it's gonna have our beer picks of the week from the last 6 episodes. Yeah, 6 episodes, and we're gonna have a little bracket because we've already got them paired up. So next week is kind of gonna be heavy on beer and not a whole lot of news. So we're going to get things kicked off with a little Gmail talk. Ryan, why don't you take the reins?
Sure. So Google just recently updated its Gmail app for iOS, both for the iPhone and the iPad. And I have to say, compared to the previous app, which is just a piece of garbage, this is much better than before. A lot better design. It's kind of got the same design look and feel going on as like the Google Plus app that they rolled out to iOS not too long ago, and the Google Drive app and Chrome. It's just kind of fitting that visual style again, because for so long the Gmail app on iOS has just been really bad, like unusable. Not unusable, but like you didn't really want to touch it. It didn't look good. It didn't function very well. Now it feels like more in line with the rest of the Google apps that are out there for iOS. And I like it a lot. Feels nice. It's more responsive than the last one. And yeah, I'm just glad to see Google putting time and energy into making sure that people have good experiences with their products no matter what device they're on.
Which is important, because in the Apple world, they don't really care about Google that much.
No.
Which is pretty, like, understandable, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a really good thing that Google is like, hey, we still want you to use our apps. And it's like, I don't know if the iOS default mail app is good because
it's not.
Because I remember when I had like an iPod Touch when I was like 16, and it was terrible. It was just terrible. And I've always just like, I always wanted like, where's my Gmail app? And so I'm really glad that Google's like, hey, you may not like iOS mail if you got a Gmail account. Come on over, baby.
Yeah.
So in that same realm, Google also updated the Gmail app on Android to 4.2, which actually had some really great features, which I like instinctively used, and I didn't realize that they were like just added in. So they added pinch to zoom, which was something I had always like kind of like pined for.
Wait, yeah, pinch to zoom to the
Android app.
In just like your in the whole app, or just in
say,
while you're like.
So say you open up an email, you can pinch to zoom.
So in the email itself.
Yeah,
Right,
and they also added swipe to delete, which was what I was saying earlier. I was just like, you know, I had just recently updated all my apps, and I had a bunch of emails, and there was like 2 or 3 in the middle I didn't want to delete, and so I was just like swiping across my phone, because if you swipe one way you archive it, and the other way you delete it, and I just like instinctively, like without even knowing that they had updated the app, like just instinctively started swiping it, and it just started deleting. And then I like read the article, and I was like, they just added that.
Do you need to be on 4.2 to use these new features? No. Okay.
Oh,
so I'm wondering if it's on my phone.
I think any Android 4.x phone has 4.2 support.
Yeah.
I have the 4. What is it? 4.2 is Jelly Bean, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have all the 4.2 Google apps on my phone, but that's just from a little bit of
working around
hacking and
But so the 4.2 apps don't roll out to your phone, like the 4.2 version apps.
Yeah, this is the 4.2. This is Gmail version 4.2.
But do those just automatically roll out as updates to your phone if you're still on 4.1, or do you have?
Well, they're like through the Play Store. It's just through the Play Store.
So they just get updated.
It's just it's just a normal update. It just
update.
Happens to be 4.2.
Same number.
Yeah. It's a normal update. So
yeah, this one completely flew under my radar, because I mean, like, you don't. Sometimes you get so many updates that just happen. at once.
and you don't even like read what's new in them. But this is like
I never even thought to like try and see if I think I do have 4.2 Gmail on my phone, but I'd never tried to just like see if I got these new
so
features.
Check out the features next time. There's also a new Google's rolling out a little update for iOS on a different app. Ryan, this is another balls in your court here.
This is so I'm really excited about this, because one of my big hangups, I have an iPad and I'm still running iOS 5 point whatever on it, because I refuse to upgrade to iOS 6, because one of my main reasons was that they got rid of the native YouTube app, which did AirPlay streaming, and for a while they didn't have that in iOS 6 and then they rolled out a new YouTube app. Google did themselves, but it didn't have AirPlay support in it. Well, Google finally updated their YouTube app to support AirPlay. So one of my big hangups of iOS 6 is now gone, and I'm feeling more inclined to upgrade now. Although I'll have to deal with the crappy maps, but I don't really use my iPad to navigate.
There's
myself.
Good alternative apps.
Yeah, there's other
like
things
Waze.
Yeah,
I used Waze for a
that.
while on Android.
You know what I do? I just use my Android phone with Google navigation.
Well, I was just saying that there are alternatives even on Android. I've used Waze before.
I'm just a dick because I don't have any iOS devices.
I used Waze when I was in Chicago, because they have support for like people can mark where speed traps are and that.
Oh.
And
that's
like
really nice.
It's really not useful in our area, but like when I was in Chicago it was.
I remember that one summer when I entered in Chicago and driving around, and you go through one of those and you're just kind of like, was I like, did I just like screw myself there? Like, did I go through something? I'm going to find a ticket in my mail 4 days from now.
So Waze is pretty great.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I think the one thing that's annoying about the new YouTube app though, is like, I'm so used to the native one. I can start airplaying a YouTube video and then shut off the screen of the iPad and it will still play.
Right.
That's not the case with the new YouTube app.
And you know what? That's Google's fault because Google still has. They used to have that support in Android, like way back when they had that support in Android where you could shut the screen off and because I usually, if I'm in my car, I just want to like listen to a certain song, I just flick on the YouTube app and play that. But then you can't like shut your screen off and keep the audio playing.
That's
like
annoying.
It's stupid, and they dropped support for that because it used to be that you could do that.
Because it's like a habit now.
Right.
I start airplaying the video to the TV, and I just instinctively turn it off. And I did that like literally 5 times the first time I tried.
I still do it to this day.
I'm like, okay, play, turn off, and then it stops playing. I'm like, like I did it again. But yeah, it's nice though. It's a good app. It's got better features in it than the previous native one is.
It looks nicer.
Yeah, it looks nicer.
You know what? And that's really funny too, because when they release like the native app for iOS, all of like the big iOS people were like, "Ew, it looks so stupid." I'm like, no, this app is gorgeous.
It's much better
compared to like the like stock YouTube app that used to be on iOS.
Right, the native one.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing, this update brought iPad support to the YouTube app finally.
Oh,
so
I actually want to see that.
It's pretty nice. Before it was.
Give me a. There you go.
Yeah, before it was just an iPhone only, and you could upscale it, or well, not upscale, but just enlarge. So
I was playing some Pikmin videos.
Wow.
Oh. So yeah. Anyways, that's enough about that. It's nice, and I might upgrade to iOS 6 now.
Because of it. Yeah.
Because of it. That was my one hang up, and it's weird, and it's one only a few people have. But for me, I guess quick explanation. The YouTube app on the Boxy Box is pretty terrible.
It's beyond terrible. It is appalling.
So I AirPlay the YouTube videos to my Boxy because it just looks way better. For some reason, Boxy just compresses the S out of
and like
videos.
For some reason that app uses so much bandwidth.
Yeah.
It's like
Boxy?
insane. Like I'm sitting there with like my 30 meg service trying to watch like a video in 480p.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why are you still buffering? You shouldn't even have to buffer. It should just load and play.
Right. The thing was, when iOS kind of got big and there was the YouTube app, Google went through a lot of work to make sure that the actual H.264 video files were available to play, because that's the only, you can't play Flash on iOS devices. So I think it handles just like playing video over the internet a little bit better through the native code than if you're like unboxing. I'm sure it's trying to do some sort of thing where it takes the Flash file and like upscales it or something, and it's just not as efficient in terms of streaming.
So,
but anyways,
I'm gonna kind of interject here.
Yeah.
Big congratulations to East Lansing native / ex Michigan State Spartan Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
For pulling out a victory today.
Wow, I'm actually surprised we're talking about this.
RG3
got injured.
Tore his ACL.
Maybe,
possibly. Kirk Cousins got put in and came back and won the game.
Yeah.
What?
That's
awesome.
He finished up the drive down the field, threw a touchdown pass, and then ran in for a 2-point conversion.
So,
That's
Kirk Cousins,
cool.
I wish you were listening to this right now, but congratulations.
I'm honestly pretty shocked at that one, but yeah, that was pretty cool.
If only he was on my fantasy team.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have got me any points because he scored a touchdown and got a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I just thought that would be a little interesting interjection because
cool.
we're all Sparty fans here.
Good
So
for him.
Ryan, we're still gonna keep you here.
So you may or may not have seen people of the world, Tim Cook appearing on your television set.
Never seen Tim Cook before in my life. Who is he?
Oh, he is the CEO of Apple.
Oh man,
current CEO
I
of
thought that
Apple.
was Steve Jobs.
No, Steve died last year in October.
I guess I heard something about like no one recognizes Tim Cook, but then he walks into an Apple store and everyone wants his autograph. That's all I heard out of.
This is why, because
from CBS,
because he'll walk into an Apple store and then all the Apple geniuses are just like,
what?
And then everyone's just like, well, they're asking for his autograph. I guess I should too.
Yeah.
I wonder if like the general average public knows
no.
even who he is.
If I ask my mom,
I don't know if I would even recognize him.
If I asked my mom or dad who Tim Cook was, I bet it would take them at least 5 minutes, and maybe one of them could like piece together that he was the CEO of Apple, but neither of them would be able to go, yeah, he's the CEO of Apple.
Right.
Like right after I asked them.
Right.
My parents are moderately tech savvy. I feel like if I ask them, like, because the CEO of Apple is a big name. That's a big title.
Right.
They wouldn't know it. I don't think the general public would know it. And plus, they live in a house with me, so.
You think more people would know who Johnny Ive was than Tim Cook?
That's a good question.
Johnny Ive he's been knighted by the Queen of England.
I don't think so. I don't think people would know Johnny Ives, for what he's done at Apple. I think they would know him more that he was knighted by the Queen than
right.
Apple.
I think they would know him. I think the people of England know him better, probably.
Probably true.
But in any case, so
let's get back to Tim
Cook has been on
TV.
this kind of media blitz lately, just kind of talking to everybody. Bloomberg, Business Week, and Brian Williams on NBC had a special the other night, and it was all just kind of like the same stuff we've been hearing from him, like, oh, we've got an intense interest in TV and this and that, and our devices are the greatest ever. People are absolutely
what exactly he all talked about, because I have not.
That's the thing. There's like
it's nothing new.
All of the question. First of all, when he got interviewed, the interview I watched with Brian Williams, they obviously wanted the questions ahead of time, so he's like super prepped on all of these questions, and like has these kind of just like answers that don't really say a whole lot.
Imagine that.
And so I guess to boil it down and not go through everything, the only thing that is new that's come out of these last few days when he's been doing this is that Apple plans to move some Mac manufacturing back to the U.S. and is investing $100 million into that.
Where in the U.S.? Probably California.
Probably California area.
So that this is gonna sound bad. So that underpaid Mexicans can make Apple products as opposed to underpaid Chinese people.
See, the thing is, there's actually other rumors floating around that Foxconn is looking to move some of their production.
I think it's more than just a rumor. I think Foxconn.
I think it's very
officially
true.
To the U.S.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, it's just kind of like Apple might come here, but Foxconn's just going to follow right along with them. And yeah, they're opening a place here, but it's going to. And we have to have more. We have to have higher standards here in America. Yeah, I know that
they're going to move here, but I put money on most manufactured goods are going to come out of China.
The only manufacturing that's they're moving like one line of Mac manufacturing.
Yeah, so it's
it's like one of
very high.
Who cares?
Stuff will be here.
Right. Well,
who cares?
It's a step in the right direction. I think, like, it's one of their product lines.
Right.
And to be honest, I think there's certain cachet to having something that's made in the U.S.
But now I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say this is a big publicity stunt and it's BS. And they're just going to go, and this is what Apple's going to do. They're going to make the new MacBook Pro or whatever they're calling it, and they're going to just slap a Made in the USA sticker on the box and charge another $400, $500 more.
I don't think they'll charge that much
I'm going to
more.
disagree. I think
Okay,
what they're
how
going to
about
do,
a couple $100 more? Maybe like $100.
I don't really think Apple is in the position or wants to put themselves in the position of making two separate SKUs of an item. Just
no. Because my thought process is they're going to make just iMacs or Macs or whatever. They're only going to make those at the US.
One
Foxconn,
product line.
So they're only going to make MacBook Pros here, and then they're going to slap those Made in the US stickers on them and ask for a little bit more money.
I have a feeling I don't think they're going to make the Pro here. I think the items that they're going to make here are going to be your iMacs, because didn't Cook say that they were going to have a Mac Pro rebuild? They're going to update it finally since it's running
Mac Pro.
No,
The
they're
big
not going to create
underdesk
the
one?
Mac. They're not going to recreate the Mac Pro.
Well, no, it's still for sale
We're
right
talking
now.
about like the tower.
Yeah,
like
the actual
G5,
tower.
the G5.
Yeah, I don't know if they're.
I don't think they'll ever recreate that.
Because I think what they're gonna do is they're just gonna start making one of their maybe the very top of the line item out of each division in the U.S. because that's where they have the margin for.
If they recreate or if they bring back like the G5, like the Mac Pro, and call it the G6 or whatever, it's going to be. They're only going to be marketing it as a server.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
It's not going to be marketed as because even the G5, like the G5 was marketed as you can buy it as a workstation.
Right.
Yeah.
You can spend exorbitant amount of money and buy it as a workstation.
Yeah.
But it was slowly getting to that whole like this is more of a server. Like throw 2 Xeon processors in it. Mm-hmm. And like 2 12-core Xeon processors in it and spend $28,000.
Now, I feel like what they're going to do is they're just going to build a couple of high-end things. They're going to say, hey, we make our stuff in the U.S., but then you're still going to see your MacBook Airs.
Well, yeah, everything else is going to be regular price.
I still think it's a good step forward because, like,
I think it's a publicity
it doesn't
stunt.
hurt anything.
I think it's in direct reaction, really, to this kind of scathing article that was written in the New York Times a few months ago.
That was a little while ago, yeah.
Yeah, and Tim Cook took that pretty seriously.
And there was actually a lot of publicity. Oh God, what was his name? He's from Chicago. He went to Foxconn and took some video.
Oh yeah, that guy too.
Yeah. But then part of it turned out to be fake.
Yeah, he exaggerated.
Not fake. Yeah, excuse me, exaggerated.
Yeah, like the guy. Yeah, and I can't remember what his name was.
Think of his. I'm gonna find that because they actually interviewed him on This American Life. They interviewed him on some NPR news program, and then they had to go back and be like, "Sorry."
Yeah, they had to retract.
We goofed.
Yeah. I can't for the life of me. But while you're looking that up, like basically, what was I gonna say? This is such a brain fart moment on this podcast right now. But I had a point, and it was brilliant. And I know you want to hear it. So they're going to move some of this back. And there's some benefits to be had from this. Like some of their big suppliers of glass are in the U.S.
His name was Mike Daisy.
Daisy. Samsung has a factory here. Dow Corning makes Gorilla Glass here in a few factories.
I want you guys to just look at this picture of Mike Daisy and tell me.
He kind of looks like a goon.
He looks like a troll.
Yeah.
This dude is a straight troll. I would not believe a word he says. It was This American Life, by the way. It was called Mr. Daisy and the Apple Factory.
But so Tim Cook basically reacted to that New York Times article, I think pretty hard, and that Mike Daisy stuff. But the funny thing is, were Steve Jobs still around, I think he would have just like said,
he would have blown it off.
He would have
blown it off and said, and he would have, you can quote me on this and mark this. That's bullshit. Don't listen to these people.
Right.
And that's what he would have done, and he would have gotten away with it. And I respect him for that. I respect him for that wholeheartedly.
I mean, yeah. There's a bit of publicity in it. There's a bit of like, you can kind of sensibly make some connections like, oh, there's some suppliers they have here and it makes a lot of sense for certain reasons. The other thing I was thinking about is, like you said, they might charge a little more for the Mac if it's made in the US or something. But there's this kind of thing in buying guitars. I play guitar, and when something's made in Mexico versus the US, people associate a certain level of like quality expectation with each one of those. Like a US made guitar from Fender is much more, I don't know.
It's revered more.
Yeah, more than a Mexican made Fender guitar. So I think there's a certain segment of people that wouldn't mind that. And not to mention, I think bringing some of that manufacturing to the US will actually help some of their quality, because as much as people like to think Apple's really good quality, like they're not so great on their quality control. They're really great about servicing your MacBook Pro when it breaks.
Well, yeah.
You know?
But then you look at the whole, what was that, like a month ago, 2 months ago, when like all those Foxconn users were like on strike and killing themselves.
Yeah.
Because like Foxconn's quality control department was turning down like 75% of iPhones coming through the production line.
No, I agree, but like I'm saying, like
in terms of, I think in terms of like internal hardware, yes.
Yeah, no, in terms of like they're very stringent about quality. Like everything needs to be exact in this,
and it needs to look right. But then they're not.
But I guess their thing is that even with all those checks, there's a certain like kind of defect rate that still happens beyond that they just kind of accept.
Like what was that?
know?
The MacBook Pros that used to catch on fire.
Yeah,
that
stuff like that.
But you know what? You know what though is somehow everyone just looked past things like that, and then they'd sit there and like bash a bunch of like HP laptops because they're made of plastic, and I'm like, wait a minute. I vaguely remember MacBook Pros catching on fire on people's laps.
Yeah,
like come on,
that's ridiculous. And so I think in the U.S. you put some like
well there's a different like code, like a business code, like a manufacturer's
right
code.
Exactly. And like there you put some well-educated process engineers on this, and people who might, I mean, not to say that
there aren't
all
those
the workers
in China.
Not all the workers in China don't necessarily, or I'm sure a lot of them care, but there's a great amount of them that don't care.
They don't make the money to care.
They don't care about what they're making
because it's just like they're there to work and that's it. Like,
yeah. They literally ship off for months at a time and work for like 6-7 days a week or whatever, and then they're back, home.
But
wherever they're
to this point, I feel like there are other companies that could benefit from bringing production here more than Apple could, because I think that Apple already has a halo over its head, where that like imagine
it does.
It does.
Yeah.
But imagine if a company like Dell, like me and Ryan were talking about this actually before the podcast, about how Dell used to make their computers here, like they had those ads where they were custom building a computer.
Yeah.
Imagine if
my uncle used
Dell
to work
doesn't care about the consumer brands.
My uncle
anymore,
used to work for one of those plants.
Imagine if like if HP did something like that, where they were showing, like they were building their higher end laptops here, and they were just building like really high quality, well built laptops.
Right.
Instead of like right now, they have some laptops that have great design, but it's still just.
I don't know. I think the
build
XPS,
is just
I
kinda
think
shoddy.
the SPX builds are pretty nice.
They are, but it's I feel like what you guys were saying with, if they were being built here, it's like American and even like a lot of European craftsmanship is just a lot better than what you see from a 5 cent an hour paid worker over in China.
I think they don't accept the kind of like defect rates that happen in other places of the world,
Well, and like I said, there's also just that different level of like quality control, because U.S. workers are getting paid reasonable wages.
Yeah. Right.
And they have like not only that, but like the U.S. workers are like seeking out these jobs. Like they want to go and work for them. A lot of these Chinese employees that work for Foxconn are like, I need to make money. And Foxconn is always hiring.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is where I have to go. Like, I want to get a guaranteed job. This is where I'm going.
Right. One other quick thing about moving stuff here is I think there's a lot of room for automating a lot of the production process.
Hell yeah.
Because literally, there was a Chinese reporter that like got herself in, like pretended to be a Foxconn worker.
Yeah.
Her job once she got in there, was literally to put 5 dots of glue on the back of an iPhone for 12 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
Like
I read about that too.
That's crazy, and that's the kind of thing that could be automated
easily,
very easily,
inexpensively.
Yeah. So like, there's certain things that they could, and the reason they don't over there is because labor is just so
cheap.
dirt cheap over there.
The cost that comes into this is just the engineering you have to do to get this automation set up. Because even like a simple task like, let's put some glue on the back of a screen, takes a lot of work to get a robot to be able to do that, like having the right joints to come down.
Yeah, you have to have those like coordinates on the device, so where you want to put them, and you also have to
over and over again with no faults.
And you also have to have the device in one stationary position, so the coordinates are always the same when the the gluing
Right.
machine. comes
Like you
through.
get an iPhone coming down the line and it's off by like a centimeter off to the side. All of a sudden, you've just got like, you got to think there's $100 in materials there that are just off a little bit, but
Right.
you can't sell that.
Right. Exactly.
So that's why it's nice to have a person doing it, but at the same time, if you could design a machine to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot more upfront costs to
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
But then it pays
pays
back
out
in
for it.
numbers
Yeah.
over time. So,
I think we should move on a little
Sure.
bit.
Yep.
So Facebook recently updated. Was this just their Android app or was it also iOS?
It was just the Messenger app.
But
just the
now does
Messenger app.
iOS have a separate Facebook and Messenger app?
I don't know. I
it up
feel
on the
like
iPad.
it. I can look up real quick. I'll know in 2 seconds. Facebook Messenger.
Regardless, Facebook updated their Messenger app. I don't know if it's just on Android.
They do.
They do have an iOS. Okay, so world like cross-platform. Facebook updated their Messenger app to allow people who don't have a Facebook account to use it, which is kind of a strike towards the war on text messages.
Yeah.
But I look at it a different way, and I will continue on that in a second. This is pretty interesting. So you don't need a Facebook account to use it. You can talk to your Facebook friends or other people who have the Facebook Messenger app, kind of like a Kick Messenger style WhatsApp thing.
I want to say something about WhatsApp in a minute.
Oh, that's a garbage program.
It's so.
But the problem is all of these cell phone companies are now turning to, if you have a cell data plan, your text messages are unlimited included anyway.
Yeah.
They're just kind of thrown in.
So thanks for being right on the ball on that.
So they
one.
jack up the data price a bit, and then but you have free unlimited text messages, so you can't complain.
Exactly.
So it's like I never wanted that in the first place.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just kind of like excited for this new era, like in the next, however many years, where like we kind of migrate away from SMS and stuff like that, because it's so old and like.
It's funny because it is really old, but it's still so widely used.
It is, yeah. But like I think there's so much more things you can do. And not only that, something that's cross-platform that doesn't cost you money for a text.
Yeah.
That has more features that
I think it just has a lot to do with integration.
Yeah.
Like you want to, like, this is like the perfect example. It's this Facebook Messenger thing. Like, why should you have your text messaging plan and your Facebook messaging? Like, why not just make that one thing?
Right.
To where you can just cut out text messages altogether.
Yeah.
And now that you can get a Facebook messaging account without having a Facebook, you can sit there and text up Granny if she doesn't have a Facebook account.
It's kind of like the same thing, like what BlackBerry Messenger used to be a big thing, like for between BlackBerry people.
Right.
But I'm looking for that like killer like messenger thing that anybody can use, and it's cross-platform, which Facebook is right now, and it's on all of the major platforms, and you can use it.
Now here's the problem though: is say Grandma doesn't have a Facebook, but she also doesn't have a smartphone.
True.
But
She's just got a feature phone.
We have literally almost God, I said literally, and that just really annoys me. We have almost peaked of getting rid of dumb phones altogether.
I don't know. I think we still have a ways to go.
I think there's a business sector that still uses dumb phones, but I think as a general consumer, like consumer public, I think we are almost there. Like we are 2 years away from just saying screw it to dumb phones.
I hope so.
Because you have these phones like the Razor M and the Captivate, or not whatever it's called, Fascinate, or it's Captivate. Like those like just lower end but like still great quality Android phones that anybody can pick up and use because they just skin the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Well, the Razor M, not in the Razor M's case, because the Razor M is as stock as you're gonna get with a Razor phone.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of LG has a lot of phones that are Android powered phones, but they're just like they just skin the piss out of them.
Yeah.
So that people who are like this entry level smartphone user can pick this up and go, hey, this is familiar to me.
Right.
I remember this on my old Samsung SC131ABL. Like I think we are hitting that like precipice to where we're gonna be in a
Which is kind of
smartphone
cool.
world.
It makes me think of my friends who are like the people that still don't have smartphones. All 2 of you out there that I know. Like those people that are still like holding off.
I thought my dad. Props to my dad.
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna be one of those people that just said, "Screw it, I'm gonna stick with this like 6-year-old phone for the rest of my life because I never want a smartphone." I told him one day. I took him into the Verizon store one day, and I was just like, "We're gonna go look at phones." And I showed him the Droid Incredible, and he's like, "I could use this."
Cool.
Like 3 days later, he bought it.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to show. I feel like with certain people, you have to show some use cases,
Right.
And then once they kind of realize, oh, it could do that.
Like, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
And,
and
now my dad plays Angry Birds all the time.
Yeah, well, that comes with it too.
Right.
For me, the like like it sounds so simple and silly, but like the amazing realization that when I got my first Droid, which was my first smartphone, was, oh my God, email, oh my God, calendar, my life is in sync now. Like I feel so organized.
Even when I had like my old Windows phone that I only used on Wi-Fi, it was still just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I can be at school or I can be at home and I can just look at my email on my phone.
Yeah.
And I can like check Facebook on my phone and I don't need to be at my computer, or I don't need like if I'm at Delta or something, and like I don't need to be at my computer, I can have my phone and just quickly check my email.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I'm always in contact with people, so it's just like you want to have it.
Right.
So I think this is a great step in the right direction.
And I will say, like, your feelings about Facebook aside, I'm just happy somebody's doing this because it's going to push other people to do it too. Because I want that good solution, because currently there's ones out there that just
it's
suck.
going to kill applications like Kik and WhatsApp.
Yeah,
which are just
WhatsApp
junky,
is terrible. It's so bad.
Don't we have a listener that uses WhatsApp?
Yeah, I know. I
don't want to.
She uses
the
no.
reason-
She actually has a really good reason to use WhatsApp.
Yeah,
she has a very
because everybody
valid
else
reason.
in the world uses it.
Okay.
And she's
I've never
not,
used it. Like,
she's
I
not
don't
living in an
understand
area where she's getting cell phone data.
Okay.
Well, or she's getting it, but she can't use it to like sit there and constantly text her.
Right. It's just funny that everybody else, like outside of the U.S. uses that.
But like
piece of trash.
Kik is really popular in the U.S.
Kik. Yeah, I've
KIK.
heard of that.
It's
yeah.
really popular in the U.S. Like I have a couple friends who I talk to via Kik.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it. And then she's just like, wait, get WhatsApp. And I'm like, what's that? And then I'm just like, I'm never using this. And I uninstall it off my phone immediately.
I'm a first of all, terrible name. Like the worst name for an app I think I've ever heard.
It doesn't even make
Kik?
sense.
Is it like KIK?
No. We're talking about WhatsApp.
WhatsApp?
WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Kik is KIK, yeah. It's actually a good app.
That's a
but
good
like
name.
but like that's a terrible name. WhatsApp? It doesn't even make sense.
I'm just gonna.
I'm still
download
trying to
WhatsApp
figure
right
out
now just because.
what WhatsApp is about. God, I can't.
And
even say
not
it.
only that, it gets so messy. Like trying to that when you try to set it up, it tries to like hook into your phone number,
Right.
and make that your like unique identifier for yourself. It's just so messy and not fun.
It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's really
like
it's really, really, really just like unnecessary.
just let me put in my email address and use that as my unique ID.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's like, why do I need you to tie into all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's goofy.
Let's continue. Ryan, you're taking the floor on this one too.
Sure.
This is a Ryan news.
This is
week.
Oh,
a
yeah.
Ryan.
This is the Ryan
I've
hour.
had nothing to contribute.
You got one thing today.
Yeah, one
I
thing.
put a lot of these stories in. To be fair, I'm scratching the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
with
we
a lot
really
of this stuff because
are.
there's not a
I'm
lot
actually,
of news this time.
I'm
of year.
surprised we've talked for as long as we have on this garbage.
We've been doing pretty well.
Oh, I could have talked longer on some of the other things, but anyway,
Yeah.
keep going.
So I'm just kind of happy about this because for anybody who's ever had cable before or still has it right now, like you get all these channels with cable that are coming in SD and are not, widescreen, and they just look like trash and compressed and all this stuff.
I can't watch QVC in widescreen. It's
Yeah,
BS.
like what's up with
I want to
that?
watch the Home Shopping Network.
Yeah.
I want to look at replicas of Kate Middleton's ring from her wedding. I want to see that. I want to buy that.
I want
in
to see
high
Pippa's
def.
butt.
You want to see
I
it
want to see Pippa's butt all the time.
in stunning, glorious HD.
I want to see it in 4K.
In 4K. So, like, what made me happy...
That's a whole nother podcast.
What made me happy is that the FCC my favorite government organization by far.
They are great. They've been amazing this last year.
They ordered the cable companies that ordered them, said, hey, by 2014 you have to support HD content streaming within homes, and that's both to the receiver and being able to stream that stuff around your house as well, which is cool.
Actually, like big on the internet service providers of making more affordable big package plans.
Right.
So I can get my gigabit Ethernet.
Yeah.
I want that.
So, and it's cool because like they're trying to push these companies to go for using like real standards in their cable boxes, starting to standardize all these things so that you get a standardized stream to your box, and 2, that box will be able to stream stuff out of itself to other devices in your home network, so you can get that video stream elsewhere and not just on your TV.
That's great.
I think that's cool.
Okay, I've read a little bit about, because I was thinking about doing the system with I was going to set up a HDPC in my house with cable card, which was the standard that was brought forth by the FCC back in like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Why aren't they? And I'm just being devil's advocate now because I think I have issues with the FCC. I think they don't go far enough in some points.
Oh, I agree.
I agree with that.
I agree with you.
I know both of you agree with me in that but then at the same time, I think because I am the libertarian in this group here, I think what the hell are they doing right now? Like, why is it their business? But it's because, the cable companies are bigger than us all. So it's
right.
This is a whole nother can of worms that I don't even want to talk about today.
That's a good idea.
With cable card,
pants?
I have no idea.
Why didn't that get enforced? Because that standard just died. It turned into a complete and utter mess. Cable cards don't work. Like, if they would have supported that standard and actually made it like useful to where you can be like, hey, call up your provider. Hey, can I get a cable card? Can you send it to me and I'll pay the fee for you guys to set it up? And like let's say they have a $30 activation fee because you got to satisfy the cable operators.
It's like a setup fee, right?
You can't just be like, oh, well, give them this, because then they're just gonna say, oh, hey, F you.
Right.
But whatever happened to that standard? Because I would have loved that. I would have just set up a cable card. I would have paid for the service, and then I could have streamed it throughout my house just in my local network by setting up that cable card on that computer.
Exactly. It's and that's what they're trying to go for, because
that's a standard that just got killed. Like, they already had some of the stuff there, but they didn't follow through. And I don't know if maybe that was the past administration or what it was.
And that's the other thing, that organization, depending on who's president and stuff, changes hands, and certain initiatives die off, and some keep going. And so the thing, I think the big deal here is now, like, and this applies to devices like your TiVo too. Like, all of a sudden you have a TiVo that
TiVo has an interesting statement in the story that you actually posted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll post it.
I read it a couple days ago, and I don't quite remember what they said. But so in theory, though, like, now your TiVo box is more standardized so that everything you record on it can be streamed out to your home network, and that's just kind of nice. So what did they say exactly?
I posted it in the
in the chat. Okay.
But it's
if each cable operator deploys set-top boxes with its own understanding of an open industry standard, the result may be an outcome that is neither standard nor open.
And
that's
like,
that's
they make a
kind
point
of like
there.
Smart. Yeah, that's a pretty
but
smart
at the same
stand.
time, if it's an actual standard they put out there, then you'd think that it would be kind of like, I'm being very out of my own league here and saying like, oh, hey, HTML5 on your set-top box. Like, you have this certain set of code that is what it's all run by.
Right.
To where anyone can interface with it. But at the same time, the FCC doesn't have the power, really, I don't think,
Yeah, the power or the time, the willingness to go and police each one of these companies and be like, are you using the standard?
Yeah.
I hope, like, I guess the reason I'm happy is somebody's got to try and push for something.
Someone does.
Because so far everything else in our lives is quickly becoming standardized in terms of, how we stream things.
But let's also be honest here. It's most average cable users don't care. They don't pay attention to it. And that's a big problem. That's where my argument falls apart, because I'm the kind of person that's just like, well, if people would just support Google TV in Kansas City, but what's going to happen is, even with their amazing service, there will still be a good chunk of that population that's going to use Comcast. It's going to use Charter. Why? It's what they've always used. They're going to use Dish, because you know what? Google's TV service doesn't have like a couple of big service providers because they have special contracts with Comcast.
Yeah.
And it's because people aren't quite informed like they should be, like what we are.
Well, yeah.
And that's why we need a organization like the FCC, and that's why I get frustrated.
Well, people, I guess, consumers don't know when they're being taken advantage of.
Oh,
and that's,
hell no.
You know what I'm saying?
Until it goes way over the line.
Right, and that's why these certain organizations are there to kind of, push for things on behalf of us. I mean, by the people for the people, and we put people in power that, that they don't need to know about this stuff, because hopefully our government is pushing for the right things,
Yeah.
So,
well, hopefully our government's kind of keeping an even playing field where we're not being taken advantage of.
But this is a technology podcast and not a politics podcast.
Yeah, we'll
so
jump off of it.
Well,
bouncing off.
They intersect a lot these days.
Bouncing off.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hardware, baby.
Sure. So this was kind of cool.
This is a pretty interesting article that Gizmodo had, and it's showing.
It's a pretty short little thing.
Yeah, it's a quick little blurb about password crackers and the hardware they use. What's that?
It's kind of scary.
It is kind of scary. But people don't. This is kind of more of like, we're gonna tell you about something and you're not gonna understand it. Have fun.
We're about to dive into some like protocol type stuff here, like
Right.
So
I don't
basically,
even understand
what
it,
we're looking at in this article is a picture of a PC
That
with
has
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
12,
8.
8
I think
This is just
8.
one part of a multi-rack style,
server.
Right.
but it's all custom built.
With 8 graphics cards in it, all custom rigged up for one thing and one thing only, and that is to run through all sorts of combinations of hashes on passwords.
Right. It's what they call brute forcing.
Brute force, to do brute force attacks. And basically, I was listening to a podcast this week, Security Now on Twit.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Gibson talked about exactly this thing, and he was saying how now this is not an online solution.
Correct.
You have to actually have access to the physical computer. But that being said, anything that is encrypted with like
SSL.
SHA-1,
yeah, okay.
which is it's a certain bit.
Is it
I think
older
it's
standard
encryption.
though?
It's older. It's like from the Windows XP days.
It's not 128. It's less than 128.
It's this is what or this
64.
Maybe it's 64.
I think it's 64.
It's the amount of bits that they used to use to encode your passwords on XP, and they can just break that in 6 minutes.
In
now
6 minutes, yeah.
without just brute forcing it.
Like, wasn't this, how big of a password was that? Because that's in the Giz
12
story.
character.
It's a 14 character
14
LM encrypted Windows XP password.
Oh, it's
recall
it's
within 6 minutes.
160 bit.
160 bits.
Yep.
So that's the old standard they used to use in Windows XP.
Now we're on.
It's if you're talking SHA-2, it's could be 512, maybe.
I've got it.
But either way, like,
If we're on SHA-3 is
the most current.
It's not necessarily standard. It's not standard. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Let's say we're on SHA-2. You have 256 and 512 bit.
but even like saying this, just think about how many businesses are still like, and this could be a very,
that are
very
running
basic
XP.
thing for me to say, but think about how many businesses are still using XP.
Right.
Exactly.
And there's surprisingly a large number because it's
Too
a very
many.
stable system.
Want to know something really sad and kind of off topic? A girl in my poli-sci class here the other day asked me if that she should upgrade to Windows 8 because her computer's really slow and she's running Vista.
Ooh. Did you punch her in the jaw?
I was just like, well, I think you just need to get a new computer.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you bought a computer from Vista era, like, granted, you could probably throw on, like, I told her, well, you might want to just go with 7 because I don't think she's going to understand
We'll
this.
see.
You know what I did with my Vista computer? I put
Burned
Linux
it.
on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I should have done that with my XPS. I got that in 2008, and
Yeah, I got mine in 08 as well.
but this password cracking machine will run through 348 billion password hashes a second.
Yeah.
Which is
Nuts.
insane.
That's absurd.
Now, this is where I think like the general public. I'm about to sneeze, so bear with me for a second.
Okay.
Here.
Bless
me.
Bless me.
This is where the general public is probably confused because this thing has like 25 graphics cards in it, and they're probably thinking, graphics cards.
Can it play Crysis?
What is? Yes, it could. What does that have to do with cracking passwords?
so-
And now, graphics cards actually have this great ability, which is used in actually a few different things. One is Bitcoin mining, and one is actually medical research. They use graphics card cycles. So graphics cards go through these cycles, and you can actually use them to process power or process something during these cycles. So what they do is they set up 25, like, what do they even say? Just radon cards?
There's 7970s, I believe.
7970s, so they're, 4 gig cards?
Depends. And it's 2 to...
We'll say 4 gig. I'm assuming
4
they're probably
gigs
4 gig
top
cards.
top of the line.
I would assume that's what they're using because these people are stealing credit card information.
Yeah.
They have money.
Well, and that's the other thing too. I mean, any smart website that's set up these days is not using SHA-1 anymore. But if there's some people out there that, for one reason or another, are using old technology in their websites to authenticate, this thing is capable of
taking your password in a matter of minutes.
like 6 minutes.
Yep.
You are in that website and you can do whatever you want to.
Right.
So, yeah.
So yeah, basically the graphics cards process. They use their idle time to process, whatever the user desires, and in this case they chose to process their brute force program. So.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a little blurb that we thought was interesting, and just to be wary about older websites that may not have been updated.
If we wanted to bore our users with very, very, very in-depth talk about it, we could go on with this for a long time.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about T-Mobile, and I don't know why.
Why? Are you kidding me? I'm going to take this.
I
because
hate T-Mobile.
I feel bad for Ryan right now. T-Mobile is going to be moving into a entirely no contract style. Like, they're going to start...
All right, that's funky.
They're going to start using a more European model, which I say European, but it's going to be a very American European, which... Ignore my terrible way of wording this. But what they're planning on doing is actually you buy unsubsidized phones, or you buy a phone, then you have like a loan or financed by T-Mobile. So you all their plans are going to be their value plans.
Their value.
It's not necessarily pay as you go, but it's like a value plan. You still get a monthly bill, but it doesn't include the subsidy fees for buying a phone from them. So, like, let's say you buy a iPhone 5. The phone is $650.
Correct.
You would be paying back that money throughout in a little chunk on your bill every single month for however long you set up the plans with T-Mobile. And it'd be a 0% financing from what I've read. And but if you bring your own phone onto their network, you're not gonna be paying the extra cost because you own your phone already. So what they're basically setting up is they're gonna be the first true carrier to be like, we're just providing cell service.
Now,
we are not here to sell you a phone and be.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome, but yes,
however, it's T-Mobile, and Verizon and AT&T won't bat a lash.
I don't think they'll bat a lash, but at the same time, I think T-Mobile's a decent carrier if you live in a metropolitan area.
Sure, but Verizon and AT&T aren't going to bat a lash, and they are the superpowers in the mobile market in the U.S.
at the moment.
T-Mobile's also getting the iPhone too.
Yeah, and that's kind of the other part of my story. Thing that I was adding in there is they are getting the iPhone, but it's
since like companies like Cricket can't take iPhones and legally can't take iPhones and unlock them for T-Mobile.
There was actually a crazy stat I saw about T-Mobile and iPhones. They already have like a just
Yeah.
crazy number
Yeah,
of
but
iPhones on the
but
network.
it's now like the FCC ruled that illegal.
Are
to,
you
like,
kidding me?
Yeah, to like switch,
Oh.
Thank you, FCC, for getting tons
Yeah.
of
Which
money
is-
put in your wallet.
which is
from
actually
AT&T
yeah,
and
exactly.
Verizon.
Yeah. See.
No, it was AT&T. It can't be Verizon. Doesn't care at all.
Bull.
Because why would Verizon care?
Because they have CDMA.
They're a locked CDMA network.
But
no, you can't bring a phone from another carrier on that. It was all
except for
AT&T.
the iPhone 4S and iPhone 4 had its network worked. It had
But
either
you
it was the
couldn't
iPhone
get-
4 or the 4S that had its radio actually supported like 5 different bands, which it
Yeah, it was a
technically would
pentaband.
kinda work
It
on
was a
both
pentaband, but
AT&T and Verizon.
you wouldn't have gotten 3G. You would have only gotten
yeah.
1X.
But I think Verizon is going to have very much to say about this because LTE is a GSM style radio. And let's say once we switch all over to LTE, if Verizon wants to stick with their lockdown idea,
Well, we've already talked about what
we did
Verizon's
talk about
doing,
this a while
yeah.
back, but wasn't that kind of a rumor still?
No, that's very true.
Okay. Well, either way, I would not be surprised if Verizon has the FCC's pocket lined also.
I'm sure they do,
that's-
but I don't
that's
think
my
in
only
that
thing
case.
I'm
I don't
making.
think in that case they did.
But
Let's,
yeah.
Lucas, you have a phone you want to talk about, and then I think we're going to
kinda
wrap
wanna
this bad
talk
boy
about
up.
it. It's
Just a quick little blurb.
well, it's since I'm the Windows phone and Windows geek on this podcast here. It's Lumia revealed the Lumia 620. Or did I just say Lumia revealed? Guys,
I don't know.
did I really say it?
wasn't listening.
I'd fail. I'm sorry, people. Nokia revealed the Lumia 620. $250 off contract. Like you spend $250, you get this phone. Which you think you go on T-Mobile today and it's like $300 for it's a GS3, I guess, but that's on contract. And you
Right.
can't leave really quick.
You're stuck for 2 years.
And it's got an S4, which is a fairly good processor. It's granted it'll be out of date as soon as we get through CES this year or this upcoming year, but it's a quick phone. It's only 800 by 480, but it's only a 3.8-inch screen, so it's a smaller phone again, which is something you just don't see anymore.
Yeah.
which is
Right.
why I'm kind of excited about it because I
Some
do and I
people
don't want a
those,
smaller
yeah.
phone.
Some people want
And
those.
you know, I think Windows Phone of all the OSs lends itself to being well adapted to a small phone
Yeah.
screen size
Like
with
a
the
form
tile.
factor,
with
yeah.
the
Yeah, you
bigger
know.
touch points.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, on other phones, it's like, oh, how many apps can I fit on my screen, or this
Yeah.
and that. I mean,
Right.
not necessarily, but it's just that kind of design style works well at different form
And
factors, and
'cause
especially
you
small
can make all
ones,
your
too.
tiles like the bigger tiles, and like you can still touch everything really
Right,
easily.
Right,
and
yeah,
not be
even on a
nice,
smaller
yeah.
having a hard time. And it has, I think, the pixel density, which
We're not.
Giz had a kind of
You know,
funny story
I
about this.
don't-
Nick talked about this,
I
like
don't
all the
want
cliche
to-
words of the year.
I don't ever want to use PPI or pixel density ever
No.
again because it's totally useless.
Well,
I
no.
disagree with that.
Well,
it's-
it's not totally
it's
useless.
useless after a point.
Yeah.
yeah, after you hit, I'd say
But like
300, it's
but
useless.
but at the same time, like what phone has like a super high resolution and not a crazy high pixel density?
Older
True.
Galaxy Notes.
Older Galaxy Notes. That was not when like PPI was
No,
relevant.
but
Well-
even think of like a 720p Galaxy Note at 5.3 inches?
Yeah.
At 5.3 inches, that has
it's just
nothing-
5.
Well, the current one's still 720 though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So still, like, the PPI on that isn't crazy compared to, but you're not holding it as close to your face, so it doesn't matter.
So to get PPI though, it's a math calculation of those
Correct.
two things you just said, like, inches
yeah.
and then resolution.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's kind of like it's just taking
irrelevant.
one.
It's
and,
a
Right,
mathematical
irrelevant.
stat.
well, yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you tell somebody, oh, it's this X inch screen and has an X resolution. They might not be able to figure that out
But-
in their head
but-
necessarily to know. Okay, that's that. But does that mean this
Also-
screen is going to look sharp with text
Also
and
though,
stuff?
but screen tech is another thing to account for.
Oh, yeah. It's a
No,
big
it's-
thing.
it's a
Screen
big
tech,
thing.
I think screen tech is more important than your PPI.
in many
If
ways,
you have-
yes.
If you have what was that old
TFT.
older that older screen tech that like a lot of phones used, and they come out with like a greenish shade because they use an RGB
I know what you're talking
with
about,
an extra
but-
green.
God,
The Nexus had it.
the Galaxy Nexus.
No,
no.
the Nexus
The
S
Nexus
and the
One.
Nexus One.
I will remember this in a second. It's. Shoot.
Why can't we think of it?
Yeah,
right
I don't
now?
know.
We might have to
It's
take a
just-
break and think of it.
No,
God.
we're gonna think of
but-
it.
What I was
Samsung
gonna
phones.
say-
We're
had
not
it.
going anywhere until
But
we figure this
regardless,
out. Okay.
What I was saying is like that screen tech wasn't that great, and so regardless of your resolution, like it still looked pretty choppy.
But okay, yes, you're right. But to the average consumer, what are you going to say when, hey, I've got this super black AMOLED,
Don't want to be
HD
offensive.
awesome thing? Like,
Don't want to offend anybody, but I don't care about the average consumer.
we need to care about the average consumer. The average consumer is who buys phones. It is who keeps our hobby
Pentile.
alive.
Pentile displays. Yeah, Pentile
Okay,
are junk.
Pentile display they were just missing a subpixel.
Now, well, here's the thing. Pentile
They
screen,
also used an extra green.
the Pentile screen on the Nexus though is much better than previous Pentiles.
Correct,
Like
correct.
it looks
Yeah.
good.
My
My
phone
Droid
is
3,
Pentile.
I remember my Droid 3 that looked like garbage because it wasn't a high enough pixel density.
Once you hit a higher pixel density,
that in your phone is next gen Pentile.
well,
yeah.
it's still missing that.
They don't use in older Pentile phones. They used an extra green channel, and it would come off as a greenish tint.
Right.
to
It would look
everything.
weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's anyway. Back to my original thing here with the Lumia 620. It's going to be in the developing world. It's going to be on GSM networks, which it really tells nothing for the U.S. market. I don't think it's even going to show up in the U.S. market. It might
Doubtful.
be like T-Mobile being like, "Hey, we'll sell you this phone for $400," like what they do with the Nexus 4. I don't want to go there.
So
But yeah, I was just kind of interested by it because I look at phones all the time on eBay and Dream, and I'm just like, my God, phones are expensive as hell here because everything's locked.
yep.
And you're stuck in a 2-year contract in the U.S. So that's why the T-Mobile and the Lumia 620 were kind of big deals to me. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that.
I think that's it for the topics for today.
Yeah.
We're gonna leave you guys with a quick music break actually, because we have to prepare our mixed drinks for the weekend or for the week.
For the weekend.
Yeah, whatever. Here's a quick music break. We'll get back to you. And we're back. It's now time for our mixed drink special. We all have made our little mixed drinks for the week. I unfortunately did not make the one I wanted to,
Oh, really?
but I'll talk about that.
Okay.
But
I
I
just
think
made one up 5 minutes
Lucas
ago.
Lucas is gonna kick things off with the little chemist over here.
Yeah, so my original idea was I wanted to make I was up in Traverse City this weekend, which is I don't think we have any out of state listeners yet, but it's just I went up there. It was me and my girlfriend. We were checking shit out, and why did I just swear that?
Whatever.
We were just checking stuff out, and we went downtown, bought some beer, drank some beer, drank a lot of beer actually, and then this morning I went back out and there was a cider that I really wanted to get. Like I saw a place that had just a bunch of ciders and wines from the Traverse area, and I was just like, okay, get that. And on my way home, I was just like, man, I really need to think of a drink for TechBuzzed this week. And I was just like, you know what would sound good? Something with like a cider mixed with. My original idea was a cider with Jaeger, actually, like a cider bomb. But Jaeger's just didn't work at all. I almost puked when I tried that one. Actually, it was Jaeger and vodka. That was bad. But then what I was going to do after that was I went across the road to my friendly local party store, and I was like, you know what? They had a bottle of... whenever I think of it, I say Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but that's not what it is.
Rum chata.
They had a bottle of rum chata there before, so I was like, you know, that might be decent. Like, you know, if I can get something like caramel and appley, and which rum chata isn't really caramely, but it would be like a cinnamon kind of flavor with it. So I was like, maybe I'll try that out. Well, they didn't have any, so I got Hot Damn instead, which makes no sense to me. So I ended up, Nick came over and we mixed, it's just a splash of Hot Damn, a lot of Captain and a decent. And basically, what I did was I filled our little glasses here, which are, I don't know, 5-6 ounces. I filled the glass up half to 3/4 way with. I've got Granny Smith Woodchuck hard cider right now, and then added probably around a shot of Captain, and then just a splash of the hot damn. So it's interesting. I make no qualms of being the king of this week, but I'm pleased with it so far. I don't know.
Let's give her a taste.
I'll pass it around to you guys, and I'll continue talking about it because I didn't pass it around beforehand. But I put a couple ice cubes in it just to keep it cold because this would be a good one. I actually think would be decent if you warmed it up.
It's really not bad.
The problem is with like a cider, if I warmed it up, I'd lose all the fizz, so I'd have to make something more along the lines of a like an apple pie, where it wouldn't have any carbonation to it. Which I just had chose the cider because, like I said, of my experience this weekend with it. And
that's tasty.
whatnot. So it really isn't too terrible for the amount of time I put into it.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty custom recipe there, and it tastes pretty good. It's like augmented cider. You know?
It could use a little bit of tweaking.
Yeah,
but I think this is I like my idea here. I gotta think of how I want to tweak it. Maybe like using a little bit different kind of spice to change, because the cinnamony, you can tell it's hot damn, which isn't exactly the best liqueur out there, but it just needed that little bit of kick on the back, and it tastes a lot better than earlier when I had hot damn and Dr. McGillicuddy's with cider. Where it tasted like I took the drink and I felt like I had just brushed my teeth.
Ugh.
So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but yeah.
Quick aside, there was this friend of mine who I was at a party in East Lansing this past weekend, and she was just drinking hot damn, just like drinking it.
That's strange.
And I was like, what?
I'm impressed.
I was like, what? Like,
That's
people
weird.
just do that? And like, she was just pouring it first. I was just like, okay. Anyways.
So my drink.
That was tasty though.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. My drink of the week
Wasn't bad.
No, it's just there's something funky about it. There's
You're
something funky
funky
about it to me.
It tasted like not as strong as I expected. Maybe
I could have added more.
I think that's what it is. Is it's just like everything is like really mellow in it, and it's not what I was expecting because it's all liquor, or it's all booze.
Alcohol. Yeah.
I am bringing what I call the Travers Vodka Tonic. It is
The ultimate women's drink.
It's a vodka tonic. No,
Doesn't taste like nothing.
it tastes good.
I'm mocking you right now because you said your drink's funky.
Whatever.
Sad.
So it's made with
Ryan's just put in
vodka from Jolly Pumpkin Civilized Spirits up in Traverse City. It's a great base vodka. It also has from Grand Traverse Distillery small batch tonic used in it, which is pretty interesting.
All right.
So I'll pass this around.
Okay.
And you guys
Let's give
can
her
give
a
it
try.
a taste.
It's clear in color.
Explain this small batch based tonic to me again.
I have to actually I'm gonna look this up actually.
It's been a while since I've had a vodka tonic. This is tasty,
The last time I had one was actually at your house for a hot tub party, and I don't know. I have bad things with vodka. Like I have too many bad stories about vodka.
Man.
So the small batch tonic,
It smells like water.
Yeah, I could drink that pretty easily.
it's syrup. It's not like a like a tonic water like you would think tonic is.
Right.
It's just like the syrup, like the concentrate, I guess, and then you mix it with club soda. So
Okay.
we had like batch number 59 or something like that, which is pretty interesting. So I just thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is, and that drink is like you don't really taste anything in it, which it's both a good and a bad
that
thing.
is like
I guess.
that's a double
Like,
shot.
probably
That's a double shot in there.
Yeah,
too,
that's probably
so.
more the point of that kind of drink. Like it's because you really can't taste the vodka, but I think you had used fairly good vodka too.
I use really good vodka.
Yeah, like what did you use actually?
Jolly Pumpkins.
Oh yeah,
Civilized Spirits.
I'm a special
it's good,
person.
Great
good
vodka.
stuff.
It's good vodka.
Sorry.
Good. It's not like Burnett's.
Right.
Cool.
5 o'clock.
All right.
So that was me.
Cool. So moving right along, my mixed drink is Brandy Manhattan. Just because my kind of go-to drink when I go out to the bars and stuff is a Manhattan, and most times they don't have brandy. Otherwise, I would ask for it. But whenever I can track down some brandy, or a bartender actually knows what I'm asking for, then I ask for a Brandy Manhattan. If they can make it, it's awesome. So
I've never had. I've had a lot of Manhattans. Never a Brandy Manhattan.
Brandy Manhattan is very good. Mine's a bit stiffer than your guys's, but basically it's brandy, and I can't remember the brand. Vsop brandy. With
That's pretty good.
With sweet vermouth.
Lucas isn't gonna like this.
You're not a fan of the stiff
don't
ones?
do good with Manhattans. I've tried them a couple.
This is brandy though. It's not like It's not like bourbon, so it's not gonna hit you as hard.
Yeah, okay.
You'll like it. At least better than a normal Manhattan. With maraschino cherries and a splash of cherry juice, and some bitters in there too. On the rocks.
Angostura bitters.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Which is important to point out because a lot of bitters are garbage.
That is a million times better than what I'm used to in a Manhattan.
I actually didn't even look at them, but I'm glad I got good ones. Like they were at that liquor store down the street, they were the only ones on the shelf, so they were only like stocking the good stuff. So yeah,
that's pretty good.
Brandy
good.
Manhattan.
I'm gonna have a really hard time picking this.
I was gonna say, are we going to actually do a pick, or are we just?
I mean, we don't have to pick, but
I don't really care.
I don't care.
I think they're all good.
Yeah, they're all
we
really
have
good
three
drinks.
very unique drinks.
Yeah,
and
so
three very different. I don't know how you compare them.
Right.
So let's recap them real quick for everybody out there. What did we just drink, Lucas? Yours was
we had a cider rethought.
Cider rethought.
Cider
I like the name of
rethought.
that.
That's cool.
I had the Travers vodka tonic with a small batch tonic used.
And mine, was a Brandy Manhattan.
I really need to think of it. I'm trying to think of names for mine. Like I was thinking like Captain Cider, or the Pirate of the
Seven ciders.
Pirate of the Seven.
Pirate of the Seven.
But I think we're gonna kind of close this out here quick. But we're gonna talk about next week, like we stated at the beginning of the show. Next week we are doing.
Send us goddamn emails.
The Big Daddy of them all, beer of the year, based on the 6 beers that we've picked in the last 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just complain about how all my beers got put in the same bracket because they were the best damn
You
beers.
only had 2.
I did, but
and they're in the Hall of Fame. And I want to point this out that I have 3 in the bracket.
Nick, look at the rings. 2 rings, baby.
Hey, the championship isn't over, baby.
Whatever.
That's what I thought.
Just because we put mine in the same bracket with each other.
We had to. It was a joint decision, and you were involved in that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a bracket for you to look at when you're listening to this. It'll be on our Facebook, Twitter, RSS feed. You'll find it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the bracket of all of our beers that we have lined up for beer of the year, and who they're paired up against. Other than that, I think we're going to close it out. So thanks for listening this week. My name's Nick Smock. You can find me at Nick_Smock on Twitter.
My name is Ryan Spletzer, and you can find me at Ryan Spletzer on Twitter.
My name's Lucas Ritter, and I guess I'm depressed was cool, but don't follow me.
And that's a drink for Aaron. Find TechBuzzed. Our MP3 podcasts are at techbuzzed.libsyn. That's LIBSYN.com. On Twitter, you can find us at TechBuzzed. On Facebook, you can find us at facebook.com/TechBuzzed. And maybe someone will ever sometime send us an email at techbuzzedpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TechBuzzedPodcast. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week where we pit our beer of the year against all the other beers, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah.